Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle. I am joined by my two co-hosts, Goody and Hall, for this fantastic episode titled Coordinating a Plan. We're going to be talking about the introductory press conferences of offensive coordinator David Blough and defensive coordinator Burgundy Jones. We're also going to be talking about free agency, which is going to be opening up in about a little less than a month, about 3 weeks. And then also finishing off this episode by answering fan questions, which I'm sure are going to be deriving and based on the draft. But that so far, let's recap a little bit. Goody, how was the Super Bowl, man?
The Super Bowl was fun. Went over to my sister's house. She had a bunch of food prepared. Some family was there, some friends. We just kind of kicked back. The game was, kind of boring, as we all kind of know, but it was still cool just to chill out, not have to do nothing. Probably didn't have as good of a menu as Hall's Brothers Ribs, but I got some work in. I got
Well,
some work in.
after Hall talked them up, I'm sure he burnt them. So that's typically how this, plays out. And I hope you brought the cinnamon rolls like I advised you to the Super Bowl party. No, he's
No,
like,
I brought her nephews and niece. So that's
okay.
all. That's all that she gets.
I like it. The bargaining chip, the ultimate bargaining chip. And
Yeah.
I will say, like, I heard people saying that it was boring. But to be perfectly honest with you, that's good football. Like, the NFL has really manipulated people into thinking, like, offense is what really generates everything. And I get that. But in reality, like, football, seeing defense being played, good defense, where both teams were playing fantastic defense. The fact that the Pats seemingly could not do anything on offense for 3 quarters of that game, still somehow forced the Seahawks to kick 5 field goals, is a godsend. You could say, like, they did a very good job, and I always admire a good defensive game. But Hall, what did you think of the Super Bowl, man?
Yeah, pretty much same thoughts as y'all. Was hoping for usually whenever there's a team that you're not rooting for, you just hope for a good game, a game that's going to come down to the wire or something like of that like ilk. But
Right.
overall, like you said, it was like more of like a defensive battle. No real exciting, explosive, like crazy moments.
Besides Christian Gonzalez showing out and everybody
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Washington having something to say about it, myself included, the Colonel texted me about it, talking crap about Ron Rivera and everything. Like, look, man, I trust me, you will not find a bigger Christian Gonzalez fan than I was in that pre-draft process.
I guarantee you, Ron Rivera's probably a big fan of his now too. But yeah, overall, I would have hoped for a better game. It yeah, didn't go how. I mean, I thought the Seahawks would win, so I guess it did go how I thought it did go how I thought it was going to go. But I thought it would be a little bit closer. But that Seahawks defense, what do they call themselves, like the dark zone or something like that, or the dark side? They are nothing to play with, and Mike McDonald schemed them up and didn't pretty much out coach Josh McDaniels or Mike Vrabel for 90+% of that game. So congrats to the Seahawks, and hopefully Washington will be in their shoes one of these days soon.
Yeah, and I will say this. I had a better time watching that Super Bowl than Stephon Diggs did before and after that game with everything that has been said about him. And now we are joined by our guest for this episode, a little surprise guest appearance. I don't know how he managed to pull this off, but, he is a miracle worker in every sense of the word, Mr. Anthony Armstrong with multiple arms. How you doing, man?
What up, man? And I was like, let me see how long this will last. And it didn't even last 2 minutes. They already found me, man. It's okay, though.
Yeah,
What's
and
up?
obviously Anthony is on daddy duty tonight, and so we do have to be a little bit of gracious with his time that he does bring us. Oh, my goodness.
You say
Hi.
hi. Say hi. You want to wave?
She's blown away. She's like, "Well, look at that ugly guy."
Defense
But Anthony, we were talking about the Super Bowl a little bit. Do you have anything to say about it?
wins championships.
Thank you,
Defense
Anthony.
travels. And I will say this much: what you saw on there is something that you can replicate in Ashburn. It's not even you having to change a whole bunch of players. You don't have to go and take. I mean, even though Tariq Woolen is going to be a free agent,
Yeah,
but I don't think you necessarily have to have him to make your defense be successful. What you saw was a mentality. What you saw was a
right.
mindset. It was just an overall approach to how you're going to play defense. And that can be installed. So I would love to see that software put in there.
You're absolutely right. I think Durante Jones actually brought that up in his introductory press conference, which brings me to my question for you, Anthony. With David Blough, was there anybody that you played with that is of the like maybe they weren't high elite players at their position in the NFL, but they could be very good teachers of the game and honestly generals and being able to scheme things open. Is there anybody that comes to mind, and what makes somebody like David Blau so successful?
Man, I can tell you, I can't name somebody off the top of my head that I played ball with that I would put in that, in that breath, right? But I can say that I
Not
do
even Logan.
know. Well, I mean, like the thing is, we didn't have like deep, in-depth conversations like that where we're
Okay.
talking about breaking down players and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, you got to imagine not everybody's literally, drawing up plays and in the meeting with QB1, right?
Mm,
He might have been the third guy on the list, but I mean, I think about like Dante Stallworth used to tell me about how Matt Castle would take notes feverishly in every single meeting with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. Like he just had so many notes. He's like, man, I wish I would have taken more of those notes. So like you kind of can learn by proxy, right? I mean, you
mm.
just kind of got to think about who he's been with. But what I was getting to say was, I know a guy who covers Texas high school football. He covered David Blau back when he was down here at Carrollton Creekview, and they said even way back then, like he had the mind of an eventual coach. Like that's kind of always
Mm.
been where he's kind of led. That's where people kind of had him ending up at, and it's fortunate to have him. I mean, I think initially, yeah, obviously, I was thinking Mike McDaniel. That was an easy one,
Yeah.
but after you think about the fact that he's been around Jaden for 2 years, he's been around Jaden the entire time. It makes more sense to do this. Like I know we've said you're rolling the dice. But at least you know what type of dice you got. It ain't like somebody else dice. You know what I mean,
Yeah.
Chris? You ain't got somebody that's like, I don't know him. What kind of dice he got? His dice might be a little funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's been around Blau, so it makes sense. It makes more sense the more you listen to it.
My man, you're absolutely right. Hall, do you got a question for Anthony?
Yeah, obviously you're talking about Blau, and they're probably going to switch to a more pro style type of offense under center, more of like kind of I guess like a West Coast type of scheme, the Kevin O'Connell, Ben Johnson type of scheme. As a wide receiver, formerly in the NFL, is there a difference when you're playing the position as far as like routes and concepts and whatnot when you're going from a heavy shotgun type of offense that's kind of spread them out up tempo as opposed to under center more and more looks like it's going to be more play action and more stuff like that?
Yeah, well, play action means a couple things, Mike. You always have great questions, so I
I
appreciate it.
appreciate that. I mean, you hopped on. I was like thinking in my head, like I got to get
Anthony
one from my
always has
man
to
real quick.
size you, bro. He
I
always has
mean,
to
well,
I
size you up.
I'm
appreciate it.
just saying, like you could tell that it's well thought out. I mean, I
I
appreciate that,
appreciate
and I'm
that.
not saying that yours aren't, Kyle. So let me make sure that you're okay.
Yeah, don't
No,
be jealous.
no.
Don't
I
hate.
I,
just
Don't
I'm
I
hate.
not just
want I
like
want I can't be the
talk
only one
about.
fluffing up Hall. You know what I'm saying? I just appreciate somebody else is doing it.
I could do. I appreciate the questions that are asked. Now I'll say, you talk about play action. Play action means a couple things. It means you're gonna run the ball more, right? It
Mm-hmm.
means you're gonna run the ball more, and that was the first thing David said. Receivers that are downfield making blocks that break for long runs. That's very important, right? That's very important. So you think about a Kyle Shanahan offense, one of the first things they say, if you want to play in this offense, you got to block.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be willing to block. You have to be willing to get in there and hit a safety so that the inside zone hits. And then when the play action goes, now you're wide the hell open. All right, so you will get more explosive plays. So it cuts both ways. You know that if you do your dirty work, it's just like in basketball. You go down there, you get a block, call, they're gonna reward you when you come back down. Right? They're gonna take care of you, and it helps you stay on the field longer. Helps you be on the field more frequently, so the things tie together. So I mean, frankly, it's exciting. It lets me know that like when David Blau was like just an offensive assistant. And when he was over there catching passes for the for the receivers, like he was listening to them. They had his ear. You know what I mean? They were telling him what plays he liked. Hey, go get another one. Go get another one. Oh, go wash your hands. Go get a wipe. Go get a wipe.
I love this. This is exactly what I
Watch,
do.
watch. She'll be right back. This sucker here is smart, man. Go get a wipe, please. Go grab him. You got it? All right, she'll be right back. Yeah, so Blau, I can tell Blau listen to has the ear of the receivers. You know what I mean? And it's not like oh, he's gonna be a pushover. He's gonna get swayed. They have the same mind. He's like, man, I wish I would have got tell Cliff to give me a couple more rocks, a couple more passes, right? I need to get 10 targets.
Right.
Terry's not gonna sit there and yell and say that in the media, but if he can get the ear of a guy who's in the room with the offensive coordinator, he can call some plays. You know what I mean? So I think it's gonna be a good marriage, man. I think it's gonna be a good marriage. You get excited, especially because you know him. I think you'd be excited if it was McDaniel too, because of what you've seen them do.
Right.
But since you already know the guy, it's just like, hell yeah. My homeboy is the manager now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we good. I'm gonna get the good shifts.
Right. And the one guy that Jaden Daniels was going up against every day in practice, playing the, well, I think they called it Pig's game, throwing into the net, right? Goody, do you have a
Yeah.
question for Anthony?
Yeah. First of all, this is awesome. Nice to meet you, man. Definitely a big fan. This is cool. I've heard you on the show, for a long time, but just to kind of kick it, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Um, so in terms of the NFL, your career, how many different offenses do you think you've had to learn? And does that process of learning a new offense kind of become the same when you do it over and over? Or are there certain ones that are kind of like, man, I'm not getting this one as easily as the other one, so on and so forth?
That's a
Man,
great question.
that's a hell of a question. Because I'll give you the two glaring ones. When I went from Washington, and from 2010 to 12, and then went to Miami, and that's when they had like Mike Sherman, Joe Philbin was the head coach, Ryan Tannehill was there. They were going no huddle, and they were going hand signals. All right. So coming from a Shanahan system, which is going to be 10, 12, 15 plays, words, numbers, which is very detailed, but it told me where to go. It told me where to go, told me what to do, and I could play fast. This other one was like, hey, look to the sideline. You're looking for Zach. It was Zach Taylor, who I was looking for, who was calling the plays, but they had three different brunettes calling these signals, Kyle. So I'm like, I don't know who the hell to look for. They're giving me the hand signal for the formation. They're like, no, down is empty. Three fingers up is trips. And I was like, oh, okay. So it wasn't as simple as just stay on your side. So like to do that from 2 years and then switch in training camp, that was a tough transition. I was trying to go and say, all right, okay, this play Spinnaker is 95 wide or whatever, with the Kyle system. So I was trying to infer the two that way. But that was tough, man. It ended up not working out for me in Miami at that time. But that's when you're doing it on the fly. Now, if you're changing a system, in the off season, you think that it should be fine. It should be easier. The tough part is that you're starting from scratch. The beautiful thing about them working with Blau is that they already have their relationships there, right? And David's like, we're going to build it from the ground up. So he's going to listen to what people already like what plays do you want to do already? Which ones are you happy with? Hey, I'm taking from over here. So it should be a fun collaborative effort as they grow it. But the key is that they already have the relationships. You don't have to deal with communication, trying to learn somebody's communication style, plus install new offense. Oh, we're not together that often. Then now you got to deal with how does the play caller, what is his cadence like? How do they get to their plays? That's something that you're gonna have to learn on the go as well. So hiring Blau helps them skip the line a little bit, So where they are changing offenses, I don't think it's going to be as drastic as a switch as we think. I don't think he's going to go from speaking English to then all of a sudden go all Spanish and then piss people off like a
Yeah,
halftime show.
Yeah, I was
kind of
gonna
like
say just like
drive,
Bad Bunny.
Yeah, yeah.
kind of like driving down a familiar road, I guess you could say.
Yeah, yeah. And then they'll be like, it's more like, oh, that used to be a Burger King. You know what I mean? And now it's
Yeah.
something else, right? And they're like, yeah,
Copy.
like, oh, there's been a lot of development now. Like, oh,
Yep.
okay,
Yep.
cool. That's what I feel like you're looking more towards.
My man.
Awesome.
Anthony, I know that your time is very valuable and short. I can't thank you enough for joining us, but I only have a couple more questions for you, brother.
Sure.
Um, in regards to the new coordinators being hired, who would you, but barring Jaden Daniels, Anthony, who would you say is the number one player that's going to benefit from the new coordinators?
Let me see if I can give one on either side of the ball. On the offensive side, I think it's easy to say Terry McLaurin because he's slated to get 10 targets a game. I've been banging the drum for him to be a 100 reception, 1,300-yard receiver, 10 touchdown guy. Put those numbers back on the board for this year. That'd be my goal for him. But another guy I think on offense that would benefit it. I say Bill Krosky Merritt, but then
Mm,
that kind of also leaves room for what the hell they may do at running back.
right.
Um, I'm about to. There's a booger. Ooh, it is. Go get you a tissue. Don't get it to me. Ooh, go get a tissue. She didn't bring the wipes back yet. We'll see. She gonna come back and ain't gonna be a booger there. I'm gonna have to figure out what happened to it. Um, but I think Bill could be somebody because if David is thinking Jahmyr Gibbs, you know what I mean? That could be fun, to see him kind of open up the offense that way and take advantage of some mismatches. On the defensive side, I'm looking at if you're looking on the roster now, Frankie Louvu, could he get, reignited, playing
Mm,
downhill? If everybody is playing unselfish like he wants them to do, and understanding if they do a pick on somebody and free up Frankie, that's a win for everybody. Like you get a plus mark as well for doing your job. So Frankie could be a guy that gets his career reignited. I'd be interested, and I kind of want to see like what have safeties done under Durante? Like, are you going to get a more active, more aggressive Quan Martin up towards the line of scrimmage? I've always compared him to Devin Witherspoon. I always sat
mm.
there and said, man, I would love to see Quan do that, right? Blitzing off the edge and, getting some sacks and things of that nature. So,
They were on the same
but
college team.
yeah, same college team. So it makes a lot of sense to me. But one of the things that were very astute, I think David Harrison said, no, it was Scott Jackson. He was saying how Durante was saying that the defense is fast and young. He's like, not fast and young, and that they had to get to playing downhill and playing in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there that equates to them playing fast, right? Just
Mm-hmm.
one track mind. You know what you're supposed to do. Everybody do your individual job and go fast at it. Then you can create a lot of disruption. And so without having your guys having to think about, well, blitz this here, but if this guy does this, then you don't go, and then that creates indecision, that creates delays, and then it creates defense that's getting their ass tore up like Swiss cheese. So,
Mm.
um, yeah, so I'm interested to see how Luvu and Quan Martin come out of that one.
My man. Last question I have for you, Anthony, before you get out of here and enjoy your night. Big question for this offseason with AP and Dan Quinn is going to be with Bobby Wagner.
Mhm.
Obviously, he has to be either resigned or possibly retired. The Walter Payton Man of the Year. What would you be doing with Bobby Wagner? You know the jungle aspect of in the locker room and kind of guys' statures and egos. How would you go
Yeah.
about with Bobby Wagner this offseason?
I mean, I think he's deserved the respect for you to do kind of follow his lead in it. I would say that you want him back and you want to make sure that happens fast. I don't think coming from the season that you had last year with all the injuries and all of the uncertainty, I think it makes sense to have him come back, right? Everybody wants to be healthy and fight for Bobby. They want to be on the field and make sure that if that is his farewell tour, it ends the way that it should.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to sit there and just brush him off to the side. I don't think that happens. He has too much clout in the league. He's chosen Washington. You know what I mean? It's very rare. We've said this for the past girl. We've said this for the past few past few veterans that guys have said they choose Washington and they want to stay and they want to be around here. So I think you lean into that. You keep 54 in the building. You keep him around, Kyle. Do not let that man leave. I think we got time for one more. We'll be all right. Go ahead. Go one more.
I'm pretty sure that Bobby, I think, is 50 tackles away from the record. And
Oh,
so that
word.
would hint that they would possibly bring him back in a limited capacity. And I think Durante Jones, to your point, he specifically talked up Frankie Louvu, saying that he's at his best when he's running downhill. I would venture to say Durante probably feels the same way about Bobby at this point in his career. And if they are switching to that kind of 3-4 mindset, like to your point earlier, perfectly fits Bobby and to what Frankie Louvu provide for you. But so I think that would be a shoe-in fit with both of those guys, which kind of benefits towards that 3-4 kind of multiple front defense that Durante was talking about. Now, my last question for you in regards to wide receiver. We got time for one more. What are you bringing back Debo? Are you thinking of bringing back Brandon Ayuk? Where are you on that?
On the Ayuk side, I'm more concerned about someone to make sure that the player's okay. I don't know. I don't honestly don't know the full story behind the money. But I feel like that's a lot of money to
Yes.
to walk away from. And then like the driving and speeding by the building and some of those things are kind of cryptic, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it makes me a little worrisome. This is another guy coming in
What's
here.
up, buddy?
Yeah, so that makes me a little worried. I'm not a fan of bringing in more drama and trying to say, hey, we'll be the place of respite. We'll be the place that's therapy that makes it okay. You saw what last season was like. And I know that DC's media is so good, they're going to ask about it. They're going to ask the questions. They're going to dig into those things. So I'd say that you avoid it. I know there's a way that you can make it as affordable enough to make it make sense
Mm.
and probably have yourself a whole bunch of outs. But then once again, you have to you start a process with something, then something drastic has to happen, and then you go away from it. So then you have to answer those questions as to why, and you've lost a lot of time. So I'd say no to that. Debo, I was on board with keeping Debo. I was on board with keeping Debo. I think he brings the versatility, he brings a toughness to the offense that I think that you need, a vocal leader to the offense that I think people will get behind and that people would believe. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean, man. Like you get somebody that's out there, you're like, okay, I kind of can get behind Debo. Debo's gonna stand up and be tough for everybody. So,
Mm.
I would say bring Debo back. I don't know if they're gonna do it. I think they've kind of made some designation. Maybe they kind of let him officially be a free agent. But I think he brings value. I think that he's tough. He played his ass off last year, especially given the circumstances. I think he had to take much more of the load than you wanted. Let's play this. What if he could be your slot role, more like a Amon-Ra St. Brown? You know what I'm saying? I could probably cook up a scenario where you find yourself. If you can swipe a Rashid Shaheed or something like that, put him outside, let him be your Jameson Williams of sorts. Let Debo be your slot on the inside. Let Terry be on that other side. He can get his work done as well. So I think there's some ways to make it work out. You know what I mean? But I like Debo.
Me too. I do like Debo a lot, but it's gonna be a fun off season to say the least. Anthony,
Yeah,
I can't thank you enough for your time. Let you get out of here. I know you're very busy. You got a lot of fans coming to get your autograph. If you'd like to plug your social media handle on your show, sir, before you get out of here.
absolutely, man. Check me out at Rated Armstrong. You can find me. I made it that same thing everywhere. What you got here, man? We got a Chewy bar. Man loves Chewy
Oh,
bars.
my kids
It's
too,
a
man. They love bars.
s'mores style.
There
So
you
it's got
go.
like
It's a
little
good choice right
marshmallows
there.
in it.
My daughter will
Uh,
take out the chocolate chips in and just eat them. That's the one.
oh, that's psychotic.
Yeah, I know.
That's
It's
psychotic.
like her
You should get
mother.
her just get her a little
She
bag
didn't
of
hear me.
the chips. I heard you say she takes the chips out of there. That's psychotic.
Yeah,
That's a little. You might want to keep your eyes on that one.
I do. Trust me, I do.
But y'all can listen to the Believe in Commanders. That podcast is everywhere that you want on YouTube on the Believe Network. And then I got to do a couple with the Locked On podcast folks. So every now and again on the Locked On Commanders Squad show
My
with
man.
David Harrison and Nick Shoosh.
My man. All right, Anthony. Have a good night, brother. Enjoy it. Best of luck to you. I know you're outnumbered, but stay strong. Hold the line, brother.
Hey, we're going to be good, man. I'm going to fight through it. Y'all be safe.
All right,
Appreciate
Anthony.
it, man. Have a good one.
See y'all.
All right, everybody. We're just talking to the man, Mr. Anthony Armstrong. I always appreciate Anthony for taking some time out for us. It means a heck of a whole lot.
Hey, that's still to this day one of like my favorite guests of all time. Not because he always sizes me up.
That's exactly why.
That's like majority of it. But nah, I'm just joking.
No, like from the first episode that we had him on,
I
he's
know.
been typing you up, Hall. And I'm glad that he does, because I can't be the only one. I can't be the only one.
Feel free to tear me down, but not Reed style.
Yeah. Now, boys, tomorrow is Valentine's Day. So before we get into our fan questions to wrap up this episode, it's Valentine's Day. I hope you guys have a fantastic one, celebrating it with your loved ones, someone special out there. For Reed, with his dog, and I hope he gets a bunch of peanut butter, so they can have a special time together. But so for you, Hall, as of right now, who's your NFL draft crush?
Ooh, that's a good question.
What's up? What's up, dog? Tired? I'm sorry, dude. I just saw it. What's up, man? Thank you for joining us. I got to get Dog Tired on here one time. He's very, very smart dude, well educated. We'll get him on here one time with us.
I thought you were talking about Reed because you were just talking about his dog. I was like, oh, Reed.
No, Dog Tired. He's usually in the spaces with us.
True shit. Draft crush right now. I would say. I'm starting to grow on the cornerback from LSU, and it's not even just because like everyone's been hyping him up recently and like da 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 da.
Literally this week, everyone started talking about Mansour Delane from LSU.
But
the
Commanders just hired Jake Olson, who is the safeties, former LSU safeties coach, coming over to the Commanders now, and he had the secondary for LSU ranked in the top 25 in the nation as a whole as a secondary. So that just kind of makes you kind of point your eyes even more to what's his name again? I always like
Mansour Delane.
Makes you point your eyes even more, and he's a guy that's been catching people's eyes as of late, as you just talked about. So he's he's growing on me a little bit.
Look, I understand all that. I get everyone's fascination with Mansour Delane. I totally get it. I get it. But my draft crush comes from the fact that, look, Road Chaser, out of anybody that believes with me, it agrees with me. If Road Chaser agrees with me, then that really means something. It's like when Gavin would agree with me. Everyone would be like, whoa, holy crap. You know what I'm saying? It's the same sort of thing. This sort of regard, I'm like, edge rusher, they don't come around in free agency. Very high quality ones. So if I'm going down that route, I'm going edge rusher. And I know that Mansour Delane is fantastic, a very best cornerback in football this year. But only if the quarterback is getting the ball out of his hands in a quick manner. If he's able to sit back there for 3+ seconds, I don't care if you have Darrelle Revis out there, you're getting torched up. You got to be able to get after the quarterback. And hopefully, if they do go down that route, maybe Durante Jones is able to scheme some things up. But my draft crush right now is Cassius Howell from Texas A&M. I think this kid is electrifying. A bigger kind of kid, very fast. He's got the shoulder dip in his pass rush, and he's a thumper, man. And that's somebody I think that could do wonders with somebody like Durante Jones and being able to scheme him up and to get open those one-on-ones just to bring extra eyes into the equation. And maybe he wouldn't be a 10-sack guy in his first year, but you're starting the building blocks of something dominant. And if we learned anything from the Super Bowl, it's the trenches is what's really going to win you games. And you saw that first and foremost from Seattle's point of view was if we stop Travion Henderson, if we stop Stevenson, if we stop that running game, we're going to suffocate them to death. And that's essentially what they did. And so That's the route that I want to go on. So my draft crush right now is the edge rushers overall. David Bailey overall is my favorite, but because Cassius Howell has a very similar name to my son, that's my draft crush, and I believe in his film. PFF has him ranked in the top 20. I think ESPN has him ranked in the 50s. So I'm not sure if ESPN is going to get updated at all. But that's somebody whose draft position can fluctuate, and I would imagine it's going to be in that first round kind of area. What about you, Goody? Who's your Valentine's Day draft crush?
Um, it's kind of hard to say. I personally, I'm automatically in love with one of the edges. Just because I just feel like this team needs one desperately, and it kind of puts a lid on the conversation of, needing an edge for the past 2, 3 years. Even more frequently as of late. So whether it's Bain or Bailey, depending on how the defense wants to be run, knowing that that's going to have a big factor in it. Shout out to Thor. But yeah, my crush is going to be either Bailey or Bain. Kind of had to say the same answer as you on that.
I agree with
But
you.
luckily for us, there's two of them. So you can have yours and I can have mine.
Yeah, and Dog Tired says, "Hey Kyle, I've been on Delane early, so it is pretty funny." And he also says, "For me, it's Makai Lemon," and he's a huge Makai Lemon fan. He's the one that really talked him up and got me to look at his film. And I thought the comp for Doug Baldwin for Makai Lemon was spot on. I think that's exactly what he's going to kind of provide at the next level. Not like physically intimidating to the point where he has the size of a DK Metcalf, but he's a smaller stature guy. But this dude just makes plays, and that's who USC really depended on in crucial situations, a lot like Jordan Tyson from Arizona State. So that's somebody you can always put stock into.
Yeah, Makai Lemon, he's definitely he's behind Jordan Tyson for me as the number 2 wide receiver. He kind of reminds me of if they somehow would draft him, traded back a couple spots, draft him, whatever, he could kind of be that Amon-Ra St. Brown role in this offense for Blough as far as line up in the slot, line him up all over the field, outside, inside, great run after catch, shifty, twitchy. So I definitely a big fan of Lemon.
Yeah, my other draft crushes are Cole Wizenowski from Texas Tech. I really think that this kid's going to transition nicely to the next level. I have so many clips now. I can't wait for our draft episode so I can upload them for this cat. But he's going to be in the back end, most likely in those middle rounds. And so we might be able to get lucky and be able to add some depth to the safety room and be able to get somebody in who can provide not only on a special teams level, him being a former linebacker, would fit in very well with that unit, but also be depth for the safety room in case of emergency. Dog Tire said Genesis Smith and Jadarian Price, fantastic ones as well. Also, Bentley, the tight end from Utah, I really, really like. And pick any offensive lineman for Iowa, and that is also somebody I'm going to say is my draft crush. Any offensive lineman from Iowa. Dude, I watched their film the other day, and I was blown away. They are throwing bodies everywhere. It is insane how good their offensive line was. When you look at their PFF rating, like each one was in the top 15 of their position overall in the NCAA. So it was absolutely incredible.
Like O-line University right there.
Dude, seriously, you're not kidding. Now, let's get into some fan questions for this episode. Dog Tired, if you have any questions, man, feel free to rip them. You're the lone survivor right now, so if you have the stage if you want to ask one. Just before we get into questions, yeah, like you talked about earlier, the Commanders hired LSU safeties coach Jake Olson. He worked at LSU the past 2 seasons, helped the Tigers finish the past season, ranked top 25 nationally in scoring defense. Big question is, what does that do with Tommy Donatel? Because right now he's like secondary coach / safeties. So what is Jake Olson being brought in to do? That was not highlighted yet. I'm sure we're going to get that answer soon. That's a big question.
I'm going to say, do they have a pass game coordinator on defense right now?
That's a good point.
So maybe
No, they don't.
Well, Jason Simmons was a pass game coordinator before, right?
Yeah, but he's up in Pittsburgh now.
That's what I mean.
So,
very, very
I
big
believe
possibility.
I think Nikki Javalis said this, that they don't have, it's not on the website as like a position, the defensive pass game coordinator. And typically, like, if the defensive coordinator's like specialty is the secondary, then they kind of just hone that. But again, it's still early, so we'll see.
We'll absolutely see. Now, this question from Tony, franchise goodie. His question is, oh my goodness, of course I didn't save it. His question is, if Washington is able to, in free agency, sign 2 legit pass rushers, could you see them going offense with the 7th pick in the draft?
Yeah, without a doubt. If you're gonna be able to pick up 2 legitimate, I mean, it's gonna be hard to find, and it's probably gonna be pretty expensive. But if you're able to find 2 legitimate pass rushers in free agency, I think that's something you scream to the heavens about. It gives you a ton more flexibility in the draft to go up and select that offensive blue chip player, that you necessarily wouldn't find as a necessity at this point, more than the defense getting addressed in that position. But again, if you get 2 legitimate defensive ends in this free agency, then Washington is taking a leap in getting the horses out the gate pretty early. So yeah, I would be completely okay with selecting that offensive guy, with having addressed that in free agency without a doubt.
First off, Tony, I appreciate the question. It's fantastic. But we have to question, what is the definition of legitimate in this case, right? Is it a Von Miller type where you're going to have double-digit sacks of Dante Fowler? But you could almost ultimately question how much of an impact truly was played out, right? I asked the question, what is the definition of insanity? And it's doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. We went in free agency last year for a defensive end. And what did that do for Washington? Absolutely not much. Probably got one of the worst defenses in the league last season. So, as much as I want to say the hypothetical, just in the honesty of the question, to give it its true worth, I wouldn't even be mad if they went offense in the first round. Like, we're at this point, we are at your behest. You are the general manager. You make the pick for the best person possible. But we have to go in with the mindset to say, if you're not going to go in with edge rusher, then you better have a plan to be able to bring pressure without one, which was the big question and icue I had with Joe Witt and Dan Quinn coming in here. You don't have Micah Parsons. How are you going to apply pressure without having somebody of Micah Parsons-esque? Okay, then go in through the draft. They didn't do that. Okay, how are you going to scheme it? They didn't have a plan for it. All they did was just rush 4, and then it's crazy to think about, but when they send extra people, that's when they got pressure. And it's like, oh, that's what we have to do. Like, yes, you got to figure something. I don't understand why this is so difficult. So look, I'm okay if they even go offensive, even if they don't get 2 legit pass rushers in free agency. If they go offensive in the first round, I'm cool with it, as long as Durante Jones has a plan to bring massive amounts of pressure into confused offenses. That's music to my ears, and that's what he's talking about. And he's talking about the mathematics of it, of just making sure to confuse them and to get easy rushes for people. And if you have that plan, I'm all for it. So I'm at their behest.
Yeah, like you said, I'm all for them taking who they think the blue chip talent is in their eyes on either side of the ball, because either side of the ball needs blue chip talent on it. You get a guy on, I preferably would go with the edge rusher at 7 if he's there, a guy that you like, and hopefully he's that game wrecking guy he's a game wrecker for the next 10 plus years coming off that edge for you. Or you get a guy for your number one priority, who is Jaden Daniels. It's going to help the offense out, whether it's Jeremiah Love at 7 in the running game, being the bell cow, helping him out in the backfield, or it's a guy like Jordan Tyson or Carnell Tate, whoever it may be, Makai Lemon, whoever it may be at 7, to help him out on the outside in the passing game and get David Blough a weapon. But just from a strategy point of view, if you want to take it there as well, say they do get, let's just call legit defensive ends. Let's just call them B-level type players that are going to be 6 to 8 sacks plus, maybe max out at 10, and they're going to defend the run at a B-level type of play. So like a B-level type of defensive end. Well, in that case, okay, maybe a team that's a couple slots down from you likes a player at number 7. Now you're a prime trade candidate to trade back at 7, and you still maybe get an offensive weapon for Jaden. You still get Sonny Styles if he's still on the board for you right there to help your defense out in the middle of the field. Guy that can run side to side as well. So from a strategy like point of view, it would and you can trade back, you recruit that second round pick. This is a draft where a lot of the Daniel Jeremiah's guys out there saying this is a deep defensive end draft. It just depends on what type of defensive end you want. Maybe you get a guy in the second round at whatever pick that you trade back from. But at the end of the day, I'm all for taking the best player at that position at number 7. That's going to help you on either side of the ball, preferably the edge at defense, or
Look,
Caleb Downs, because it seems like Caleb Downs might be on the board as well.
I respect Daniel Jeremiah. Obviously, he knows a lot of football. But his job is to sell the draft, right? I'd be willing to argue this is probably a really good draft not to have a lot of draft picks in, to be perfectly honest with you.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, I know that point of it. Like, obviously, they're going to hype it up because that's his job. He's a draft analyst.
Right.
He's a draft expert. He's going to have to do that. But I've also seen Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport, mainly Adam Schefter, on Pat McAfee, basically say that the people that he's talked to in the league, the GMs, the scouts, not like not the TV analysts, the actual people that are giving information to the GMs, like scouts, the actual personnel people in the NFL, they're saying that this is more of like a top heavy, like first couple spots in the draft, and everything else is kind of like you're getting like a role player, like a solid type player.
Exactly, and that's why I'm under the mindset
might be a lot of trades coming this offseason because teams aren't going to be able to get who they want in the draft, like player-wise, so we have to go get them from another team.
And that's why I'm of the ilk that we do not trade back, because you need the blue chip. You're at the prime real estate, right? Is it going to garner you that much to move back? I don't really believe so. And it just from how I'm seeing things, right? And look, you don't have to take anything I say. You take it with a grain of salt. I totally get it. I haven't warned anybody's respect to listen to me. But that's just my point of view, and that's why we're staying put. And look, I respect people like Daniel Jeremiah and everything, but if you really expect to be able to get a startable defensive end in rounds 5 and back, or look, I've even seen people say round 2, round 3, and I'm like, good luck. You know, we're still going to be getting the same result. Essentially 2 or 3 years down the road, we're still going to be needing to draft one high because everyone does.
There's also no way to tell how the draft's going to shake out, who's going to come off the board where, who's going to trade up, who's going to trade back, what team likes this player more. Teams overdraft players all the time, every year. So like you said, like you're there, take the guy that best fits you on either side of the ball, best talent wise.
Now that being said,
available.
I do put a lot of credence into what Thor was saying in regards to centers in this draft, that it is a wide range of centers that you can get, which is something that does correlate to the NFL. Typically, you could get really good centers from that play tackle later on to come into this. And I'm telling you that Iowa offensive line, man, that's the only place you need to look at. And Dog Tired said, the center Coogan from Indiana, I like that kid. I haven't watched him yet, but I did see some of his profile. I think he's like 6'3", 6'4", but I think he's like right around 300, so he's a little bit of the thinner elk. And but I really, really like the kid Jones from Iowa that played center for them. He pulls a lot to the outside, very athletic, has a physical mentality about him. So I really am looking at their center from Iowa. He's somebody that can move to the outside, has that physical, mental mindset to be able to go in and push people over. But that athleticism is something that Josh Connerly, Laramie Tunsil have, that Sam Cosmi has. And so if you're trying to create an identity offensively, I think that kid from Iowa really makes a lot of sense from the center position. Now, the next question we have is from the Colonel. And his first question was actually very similar to what we had just answered in, is there any conceivable way Washington drafts an offensive player like Jeremiah Love or Jordan Tyson? We kind of answered that already. So his next question was, Hall, why wouldn't we bring back Daron Payne? He was one of the only stars of our defense, not just last season, but consistently.
I mean, I agree. I think that he's a guy that might be able to benefit from this new defense. If Durante Jones is going to be a guy that pulls from the Brian Flores type scheme where he's bringing guys up to the line, trying to confuse the offensive linemen, trying to confuse the quarterback pre-snap, well, whoever drops it back, whoever goes, somehow, some way, Deron Payne is going to end up getting a one-on-one eventually at some point in time. And we've seen over the years that whenever Deron Payne gets a one-on-one, more times than not, he's going to overpower that guy and do what he does. But I would say that, yeah, I've been of the thought all along that I could see them cutting him because of the $28 million, and you look at his play over the past couple of years, and he's not a $28 million player, even with the cap going up, even with him being slotted, keep going down every single year that more defensive tackles get paid. But at the end of the day, I've always been of the mindset of they have so many free agents and so many holes on this team. Getting rid of Deron Payne might free up a little bit of money, but there's no guarantee that the guys that you're going to pay a lot less money to are going to play up to the level of a Deron Payne. So you're probably it's like more of like a you get what you pay for type of thing where yeah, you might be paying a little bit more for Deron Payne, but at least you know what you're getting with Deron Payne. If you're going to have to go to the free agency and dig into free agency, maybe the draft, and you're going to only pay allocate a couple $1 million to that defensive tackle position opposite Kinlaw and depend on Johnny Newton, who obviously gets bullied in the run game so far. Now you just almost probably created another hole in your defense that already has multiple holes and struggled for the last couple of years.
Yeah, like why wouldn't we bring him back? I would imagine it's they were offered something that they just couldn't pass up in terms of not only unloading the money but also possibly getting something in return. I find that hard to believe, given with kind of the rushers and defensive tackles that are coming out early in this draft. Maybe somebody misses out and they're able to unload it. But the big question is, yeah, he's one of the stars that have been for us consistently, but this defense has not been top tier or elite for very long, right? And so you could say, is it really all that necessary if we're going to be bad already, right? And maybe he doesn't fit with what Durante Jones and Darrell Henderson want to do, essentially. And so that would make a lot of sense to me, but it comes down to trade compensation. If that were to be the case, it does something make sense? And that's the only way that I can envision it happening.
So the question was, why wouldn't we bring him back?
Yes.
I think you pretty much nailed it. Unless there's like an offer that's just kind of unrefusable, in terms of what you're getting back in value. But like Holt said, he's been consistent in Washington, and I also do feel like he does offer a slightly more versatility than most defensive linemen, or the majority of defensive linemen. I feel like
That's
he
fair.
can, if he's placed in a new scheme where he's asked to do something different, I feel like he has the ability to do that without kind of having to learn. Like that process wouldn't take long. I think he can plug and play in that. And also, I just feel like for everybody that's really kind of questioning this, I'm guessing it's just because it's that time of year and his contract's up. But when has Deron Payne ever really let you down? I mean, there's times where he may not have flashed, at all, or on the screen. But I feel like he's been a dog since he's been here.
I can name
like
you one time.
Okay, yeah, I'm all ears.
That was on the Cowboys sideline not too long ago, fighting with Jonathan Allen.
Okay, now but see that even understanding the time where we were as an organization,
That's fair.
to see like those two dudes going at it, that's just their straight passion. And mind you, they came out of college together, so for it to be on the sideline, I get it. But that's what I see as pure passion. And I know Jonathan Allen has passion. I know Deron is just a little bit more quiet on that end, but he just brings it.
I'm just saying,
But
you want to save that for your opponent. You'll need to bring that to your
yeah,
brother. You know
but
what I mean?
apparently that game they weren't able to get to the other team at all, so they had to get each other. But that's one I'll let fly, man. But besides that,
Thank you.
I just think Deron's been a dog, and like again, like Hall said, I've said this myself too. There's no guarantee that you're gonna be able to, off him and get something in return that's gonna amount to that production or even near it. There's a chance it could exceed it. Of course, there's a chance in everything, but is it worth that gamble? So,
Yeah. And
I
especially
think,
if you move to a 3-4, he kind of would fit that defensive end mold. That would more go towards his kind of skill set, would say. Now, the next question that we have is from Tim Towner in the Discord. Hall, this is from Tim. Dane Brugler has been asking scouts, quote, Caleb Downs is the best safety prospect since who? And several scouts have said he is the best ever. And some have even have him as the top player on their board. What say you? Can you draft a safety at 7?
Yeah, I think you're seeing throughout the NFL now guys like Kyle Hamilton and guys that are of that level of safety that can play up in the box, can play on the back end, can cover tight ends, cover running backs, just help your defense overall. Just not even just help the back end, but help your defense from front, middle, and the back end. Just a smart, cerebral player. Um, they're growing more and more and more in the NFL as far as like being like that. Nick Emenwari is a great example. It's a copycat league, so everyone's going to want to. Hey, Seattle didn't win a Super Bowl. I want to get my next Nick Emenwari type player. So, but even though he's like a nickel player, but a lot of them people coming out said he was going to be a safety, kind of like the Caleb Downs type player. But
Since
yeah, at the end of
ever,
the,
though, people
no,
are
no, no,
slicing,
no.
bro. Like
That's what I was
Sean
gonna.
Taylor coming out. Are you serious?
That's what I was gonna say. I wouldn't
Come
say
on,
ever. There's
man.
guys. I mean, there's guys like Eric Berry. There's guys like Earl Thomas that went to Texas and was a beast in college coming out. Like so, Eric Berry, like I said, another great college safety that went to the NFL, was really, really, really good. Played at a high level. So I wouldn't go as far as ever. It's just more of like a recency bias type thing. Like I mean, I would say he's better than Kyle Hamilton, but we got to see how it translates to the NFL first.
I would agree
But
with that.
yeah, so I
Wow,
would say,
that says a lot about the kid.
Yeah.
yeah, so Kyle Hamilton's a hell of a player. But yeah, I wouldn't say ever because, like you said, Sean Taylor, I just off my top of my head, Eric Berry, Earl Thomas, guys like that. But I would say Caleb Downs could definitely be better than those guys coming out. And so ever is kind of crazy, but he's definitely, I would say, in the past 10, 15 years, he's definitely probably the best safety prospect. And in this draft, I would say 100% he's probably the best player in this draft.
I mean, I can, of course, see Washington drafting a safety at 7. The last time that we drafted a safety in the top 10, it paid off pretty well for Washington, just to say. But that is a lot to put on a young man's shoulders. You could put that on Sean's shoulders. He showed up for you in a big way. Can you really do that with Caleb Downs? I don't ultimately. I think that he is a piece that you can put in and just forget and say he's going to be good. He's going to do his job. He's going to lock up tight ends. He's going to come up into the box. He's going to make his tackles. He's going to help you out in your back end. Without a doubt, I trust and believe that. But in the same vein, it depends on who's there at 7, Tim. If David Bailey, if Arvil Reese are possibly there, if Ruben Bain is possibly there, is Jordan Tyson, if Mekhi Lemon, Cornell Tate are there, is that really an avenue that I trust them to make that decision? But ultimately, I look at the Minnesota Vikings and what they had last year, and I've talked about this before, where it's amazing that they didn't really have star players. They had guys like Jeff Okudah, Fabian Moreau playing corner, obviously Harrison Smith at the back end of his career, but they still were productive and very, very good defensively. And so ultimately, you would sit back and say, is safety really needed in the top 10 when our hope and our drive and motivation is to never get back to this situation? And so for me, yes, I can understand if they went safety if everyone else is wiped out. But for me personally, edge rusher is what's really, this is the prime spot for edge rushers. If you're there, it's either edge rushers or left tackles or quarterbacks. If you're able to get one in that top 10, that you're really paying good money. And that's where I lie at. Look, I could see it happening. It's just, I like Caleb Downs a lot. I wouldn't hate it. It's just, it's not where I'm at. Now, this next question, sorry, I thought Goody was there. Next question from Tim Towner. Rank the wide receivers in this draft class and name a wide receiver who you like in the 3rd or later.
A wide receiver in this draft class, I mean, I gotta go Tyson. The kid that was in the I'm not sure if it was the Senior Bowl, Montgomery, that a lot of people were talking about, been under the radar. I'm sure he kind of projected himself a little bit more into the scene, but in terms of wide receiver, I think I'm in love with Tyson. Yeah, I just like what he brings to the field. You know, the style, the build of the player. But between Tyson and Montgomery for sure. And I'm
Uh,
sure there's so many other hidden gems out there and stuff like that. But those are the two that stand out for me.
Number one for me is Jordan Tyson. Just in the way that he runs his routes, his footwork, how he creates separation on very shallow routes. There was one I highlighted for that he did. It was like I think it was either 1st and 10 or 2nd and long, and he did a stutter step in, juked the corner outside, and then did another step outside, which created like 3 yards for a pitch and catch of the quarterback to him to pick up the first down where he turned around for the ball and nobody touched him. And just speaking to the route running there. And then in that same game, he has a go route where he just stutter steps a corner and just blows right by him for a huge touchdown. And then later on in another game, he's on a 3rd and 8 or 3rd and goal, and there's like a minute left. They're down in the game. Where do they go to? They go to Jordan Tyson on a quick slant, and he's able to shake the corner to come free. And like he notches every single level that you possibly need. He offers the height. He has the speed. He has the footwork. That's what you want to go into. So he's my number one overall. My second wide receiver is Carnell Tate. And I think what really the tipping of the scales for me personally is his blocking as a wide receiver. I've talked about this before. He really opens things up for their running game. Being able to be a very good blocker there at the Ohio State wide receivers. It really opens up everything for them in the run game. And I think that is the difference between Carnell Tate and Mekhi Lemon. And I would put Mekhi Lemon at third. And it's very, very short behind him. I think that those guys really do offer a playmaking ability that's fantastic. And I think, but obviously, Mekhi Lemon would probably have a little bit more up in the route running and contested catches and being able to bring down some footballs. But I do think that Carnell Tate is not a slouch in any sort of regard. I do have him at 2. And then Ted Hurst, I think from Georgia State, is a guy that I think that's his name, that would really look interested in day 3. What about you, Paul?
Yeah, I'm pretty much same ranking as you. Tyson, number one. I've been a big Jordan Tyson fan for a couple years now. Just watching like late night Arizona State games on a random Saturday night, not doing nothing. Um, only thing I worry about him is the injuries, like just like for this past season. But
That's fair
again,
concern.
but if he can stay healthy, he's definitely a wide receiver. He's a wide receiver one regardless. But I think he can be a beast in the NFL if he stays healthy. Number 2 for me, just personally, I would go Lemon just because I like the style of play that he has. I like the run after a catch ability that he has. He still gives you that contested catch ability as well, even though he's a kind of a smaller guy. And I just feel like the twitchy kind of speedy, fast type of receiver, Washington hasn't had that in a while, and I feel like he would fit very well in David Blough's offense that he's bringing here. And then number 3 would be Carnell Tate. I'm definitely a fan of Carnell Tate. I like the contested catchability, explosive plays down the field. He's definitely a great red zone threat and target. And he's definitely a guy that can take the top off of a defense. And yeah, like I said, he's tall, big receiver, offers that contested catchability. And then the third round receiver, I'm going to go to another USC guy in Jacoby Lane.
Yeah.
6'4" guy, big receiver as well, 18 touchdowns, and obviously a red zone threat and
Deep ball guy, too.
deep
He's
ball guy as well,
explosive.
contested catch, explosive, strong hands.
Good pull.
And I think someone compared him to body control wise, like George Pickens. So obviously you see George Pickens making all those crazy catches every Sunday, body control wise. So I think that would be a great addition to this offense as well because they need that take the top off, go down the field, go up and get it, or 3rd and goal in the red zone. Hey, throw it up to this guy because he's going to go get it for you. Type of threat for this offense.
All he needs to do is watch the draft in shorts and a T-shirt with a shiesty on, and he's got it to a T.
The only downside to him is he's limited route tree, like very limited. But if you can just use him for what he's good at right now while you developing a little bit more, I think he could be definitely a very good upside play.
Yep, I agree with you. Now, this next question, this is a good one from Arch, from Deluxe in the Discord. Goody, what was your favorite answer from the press conferences, and what answer did you question?
This is a good question. Favorite answer from the press conference. I have to say This is really tough because they were both just awesome. It's a coin toss between David Blau saying that he wants to. I mean, this is kind of a simple one. He wants to build the offense around Jaden, um, and knowing Jaden the player, knowing Jaden the person, knowing Jaden's abilities. Again, it may seem like a very simple kind of notation, but when you think about being able to attack the basics, that's where you're going to be able to bloom, right? And if you're going to plant a seed, you have to plant it accordingly. You have to water it, make sure it gets enough nutrients so that it can sprout and then it can start to grow. So I feel like by him saying that, again, very simple statement, but the effectiveness of that is out. It's invaluable. So that would be one. If there was another one that I had to pick, I would definitely say just the way that um Durante Jones was explaining his philosophy of defense. So I don't really know if this was an answer to a question, but just from listening, I was able to really see how he sees football and how he sees that it should be played and the different things that you can do if you attack XYZ. So it gave me a different perspective of looking at a defense, but obviously he's a defensive minded guy, has been around it his whole life. So for him to just be able to kind of throw some color on my view of a defense just from an opening press conference, that was something that just felt like, all right, let's rock and roll.
I'm not sure what deluxe means by question, but I will say that the one answer I did question and made me, because look, let's put our tinfoil hats on. Kyle's conspiracy corner over here now. David Blau talked about going under center, and it's well known that Washington is dead last in snaps under center with the quarterback, of course. If you don't know, which I'm sure everybody watching knows what under center means. But when you heard Jaden talk at the Super Bowl, he said that they're listening to me. There's things that I want to do, right? Which would point to me saying that there's a big emphasis on going under center. What made me question that answer, Deluxe, is, well, if David Blau is on board with going under center, if Jaden Daniels is on board with going under center, why the hell didn't we go under center more this season? Why is that such a sticking point? I understand egos. I totally get the NFL in that sort of regard. But we heard Cliff talk about catering the offense to his quarterback. Why wasn't that done? If you have an offensive assistant behind you willing to help in that regard and help you use that more, why wasn't that implemented? And it's just beating my head against the wall. That's the one. I wasn't questioning Blau and why he said it. Was more so questioning the past and what the hell is going on here, sort of thing. Why wasn't it catered towards, especially given with the injuries that Washington had at quarterback, at wide receiver? Common sense says then go to under center, go more to power if you don't have that many assets at talent outside wide. And you had a lot of tight ends. So what are we doing here? And I can understand why they made the decision.
Cliff doesn't do that.
Well,
he just doesn't do that. I guess, right?
And I guess that's why he's going to LA to learn from McVay.
To learn. Yeah.
My favorite answer by far was Durante Jones. You know, you guys know me so well by this point, but I'm more of a defensive-minded type of person. Really enjoyed listening to him just talk about the different schemes and him basically admitting and saying what I had said last week when I asked this either to Thor or David Harrison, saying, well, like, can he implement it if he's a chef making a dish and he's asked to make a dish? And he said, if I don't have the ingredients to do it, I can't make that dish. And that's essentially what Durante was saying about the 3-4-4-3, implementing the Brian Flores defense, where he's saying it's based on the players that we have, right? Like, I'm not going to throw in Brian Flores' defense if we don't have the personnel for it. Very smart, very articulate, intelligent answer in this sort of regard to say, I'm going to run the defense based on what this defense offers. And the other great answer from Durante Jones was in regards to Frankie Louvu, saying that he's better downhill. Thank goodness somebody else said it. I felt like I was the only one screaming this, and nobody wanted to actually act on it. Thank goodness he actually said the quiet part out loud. Because when David Harrison came out and said that he wanted Greg Joseph or whatever from Las Vegas to be the DC, that they let their linebackers roam and that was going to be good for Frankie Louvu. I was like, it's a complete opposite for Frankie Louvu. He needs to be going downhill, and that's like it mimicked what I was thinking, and I'm glad that he said it. So I really like that answer.
Yeah, so I don't remember exactly what he said, but he was like Durante Jones, everyone got fired up about it. It was like everyone was like, "Oh, that's a bar." He was like something, something, something. Not where
It's
you
not
something,
where they
something,
line up; it's where they wind
where
up.
you wind up. Yeah, I like that because I don't know, it just sounded cool. I'm not gonna lie, but
So back in the
I know what
day,
it means.
no, I know.
He's
I
not
just want to explain to everybody else. So back in the day when Jim Haslett was our DC, I remember going to a preseason game, and I always tell everybody my favorite seat in the house is nosebleeds because we were in the
you can see
nosebleeds.
everything. It's like all 22.
Exactly. It was preseason, and I watched the defense lined up, I think, in a cover 2 shell at first, a pre-snap. As soon as that ball snapped, you saw the safeties rotate, and they shifted into a cover 3 post-snap. And that's essentially what he's saying. It's not where they line up, it's where they wind up, and that's what Hall's alluding to. Sorry.
Yeah. Damn, my bad. But yeah, that's all I was gonna say. It's like I love that just line of thought because we talk about the Brian Flores scheme and how he puts a lot of people at the line of scrimmage, makes the quarterback, makes the offensive line,
Right.
mainly the center, really think about like who's the Mike linebacker, where's the pressure coming from, hey, which side should we shift to, stuff like that. And it's not more about where you line up, where you wind up, but like you said, now we're gonna shift everything post snap, and we're really gonna confuse you even more. So I love that because I feel like Washington really hasn't been, and if they have done that recently, they haven't been really good at it. And I feel like
No, it's
he's
been
got
cookie
like,
cutter. It's been
yeah,
cookie
exactly.
cutter.
That's what I feel like. But even going back to like with even with Jack Del Rio, it was just like rush 4 because we have four first rounders.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, I feel like we're something fresh and new finally catching up to the NFL, like the times of the NFL here in Washington. And then on offense, one of the quotes that stuck with me with Blough was, "I want to make the same look different and the different look the same." As in, like, I want to be able to marry my run game with my pass game, but make those linebackers, those safeties, cornerbacks think, "Oh wait, I just saw that outside zone run. Let me go attack the ball." Next thing you know, Jaden's pulling it down, 5-step drop, firing it over the middle to Terry, whoever the quarterback, whoever the wide receiver is at that point in time. But I just think that, yeah, I feel like even though 2024, it was a very innovative offense where Cliff was running, a lot of teams couldn't really catch up to it. And when they did, he finally made a couple adjustments and kept the ball moving, kept the ball rolling. A lot of it was Jaden Daniels kind of bailing him out as well. Obviously, people know that. But I do feel like
The no huddle helps.
the whole no huddle helps, the up tempo helps. The as far as like spreading the field out and like creating lots of space all over the field help. But I feel like David Blau is a more traditional because he's not like a super athletic guy. He's more of the cerebral guy to play from the pocket and beat you that way, anticipate throws, throw through the windows. So I feel like he's a really good person to hopefully take Jaden Daniels to that next level, the next evolution of his game, and get him under center more, get him on them bootlegs, the naked boots, move the pocket. I feel like Cliff never moved the pocket at all in his offense. A lot of pre-snap motion, make the defense think a little bit more. So, yeah, hopefully that's all comes to fruition.
Yeah, and obviously with the boots and a lot of the times, like you saw Shanahan do this a lot with Robert Griffin III. You minimize half the field to make it easier on the reads and everything like that, which I'm sure Jaden doesn't need all that much help with, but it does help with the play action in particular.
Get him into a rhythm like
Right.
early on in the game, and then go from there.
And to your point about making the same look different and the different look the same, sort of regard, Joe Gibbs did this with his offenses with the Redskins, of course, with our beloved Redskins, making the same formation branching off of it to be more lethal. And this is something Sean McVay is huge into as well. And Sean McVay does this a lot, has so many different plays out of the same formation that you can't guess on what the play is going to be because they have so many plays coming off of it. So
yeah, that in itself You know, having a defensive player hesitate just for even half
Right.
a second gives you an advantage. So, you know,
Confusion is the name of the game in the NFL, my friend. It's the name of the game, and last year we were too predictable, way too predictable. Can't tell you
it
how many
was like
times I said that.
one of those easy pop quizzes. You know, it's like,
Yes.
all right,
All right, everybody. That's going to wrap us up for this episode. If you've made it this far, you're a frickin' champion. Thank you to Dog Tired for tuning in and commenting with us. Thank you to the Colonel. Thank you, Tony Franchise, Tim Towner, to Deluxe. I appreciate you guys for contributing to this episode. Can't thank you enough. I have a happy Valentine's Day. Have a good weekend. Can't wait for church on Sunday.
Enjoy this nice weather.
Yeah, that too as well, of course. All right,
if
everybody.
anybody knows any good barbershops down in Laurel, Delaware area, please send me a tweet.
I can't help you out in that regard. I shave my own head, so I wish I could help you out there, brother.
No
All right,
doubt.
everybody. I will talk to you guys again. We'll see you next week. Enjoy your week. I'm Kyle,
I'm Hall.
Goody.
and we'll see you guys then. Have a safe weekend, everybody. Washington football. Woo!
Peace.
What's up, everyone? This is Kyle from the Burgundy Zone. We are releasing our own merch to support the show. If you want to rock the Burgundy Zone logo or you want to see Reed's face on your shirt, we got it. We're starting with t-shirts, hoodies, and zip-up. So if you're a fan of the show, make sure you snag one before they are gone. Check out the link in our bio on Instagram. You can find the link in the description of the video. Thanks again for all your support. Until next time.